Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari Jashodanandano Braja Jana Ranjano Jashodanandano Braja Jana Ranjano Jashodanandano Braja Jana Ranjano Jashodanandano Braja Jana Ranjano Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Privrajacharya Statarasata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki This Confounder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adigo the Bhaktivedanta Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopakapina Shamakat Radha Kundigiri Govardhana Ki Shri Vrindavan Dhama Ki, Shri Mayapur Dhama Ki, Ganga Maya Ki, Jamuna Maya Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Tulasi Devi Ki, Samaveta Bhakturindiki, Jainatai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to Samudavatis, all glories to Samudavatis, all glories to Samudavatis, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Na Vai Jano Jatu Katan Chanavrajan Mukunda Sevyanyavad Anga Samshritim Smaran Mukundangri Upaguhyanam Punar Vihatum Itchen Na Rasa Graho Jana Navai Jano Jatu Katanchana Vrajan Mukunda Sevyan Vayaranga Samsritim Smaran Mukundangri Upaguhanam Punar Vihantum Ichen Narasa Graho Jana Navai Jato Jatu Katan Chana Vrajan Mukunda Sevyan Vayaranga Samsritim Smaran Mukundangri Upaguhanam Punar Vihatum Ichen Narasagraho Jana Thank you. Na, never. Vai, certainly. Jana, a person. Jatu, at any time. Katanchana, somehow or other. Avrajet, does not undergo. Mukunda Sevi, the devotee of the Lord. Anvayat, like others. Anga, oh my dear. Samsritim, material existence. Smaran, remembering. Mukunda Angri, the lotus feet of the Lord. Upaguhanam, embracing. Puna, again. Vihatum, willing to give up. Each chet, desire. Na, never. Rasagraha, one who has relished the mellow. Jana, person. Translation. My dear Vyas, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes... didn't we just do that? Oh, yeah, we went ahead yesterday. Okay. Even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes falls down somehow or other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like other fruit of workers, etc. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again. The Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, is himself this cosmos, and still he is aloof from it. From him only has this cosmic manifestation emanated. In him it rests, and under him it enters at annihilation. Your good self knows all about this. I have given only a synopsis. Purport. For the pure devotee, the conception of Mukunda For a pure devotee, the conception of Mukunda, Lord Shri Krishna, is both personal and impersonal. The impersonal cosmic manifestation is also Mukunda, because it is the emanation of the energy of Mukunda. For example, a tree is a complete unit, whereas the leaves and branches of the tree are emanated parts and parcels of the tree. The leaves and branches of the tree are also the tree, but the tree itself is neither leaves nor the branches. The Vedic version that the whole cosmic creation is nothing but Brahman means that since everything is emanated from the Supreme Brahman, nothing is apart from him. Similarly, the part and parcel hands and legs are called the body, but the body as the whole unit is neither the hands nor the legs. The Lord is the transcendental form of eternity, cognition, and beauty. And thus the creation of the energy of the Lord appears to be partially eternal. Thus the creation of the energy of the Lord appears to be partially eternal, full of knowledge and beautiful also. The captivated conditioned souls under the influence of the external energy, Maya, are therefore trapped in the network of the material nature. They accept this as all in all, for they have no information of the Lord, who is the primeval cause. Nor have they information that the parts and parcels of the body, being detached from the whole body, are no longer the same hand or leg as when attached to the body. Similarly, a godless civilization detached from the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just like a detached hand or leg. Such parts and parcels may appear like hands and legs, but they have no efficiency. The devotee of the Lord, Srila Vyasadeva, knows this very well. He is further advised by Srila Narada to expand the idea, so that the entrapped conditioned souls may take lessons from him to understand the Supreme Lord as the primeval cause. So, Vyasadeva, the Vedic literature being very vast and being very difficult, requiring them, someone situated in the mode of goodness to appreciate, then Vyasadeva compiled the Vedas so that it was accessible. But at the same time as in trying to make that more simple and everything like that, you also have to keep in mind that still the position of the Lord and his relationship with the universe and the living entities still remains the same. It doesn't change, right? So because it doesn't change, then that has to be brought out. While it hasn't been so much brought out in how he's compiled the literatures up to now. Right? It means there'll be something there, but it hasn't really been focused upon nicely. So, even though that may appear to be a difficult position, but the point is by that surrender to the Lord, by that devotion, then one can appreciate it. But still that knowledge needs to be there. It needs to be explained. Right? It needs to be given. Because you have to understand how everything's connected to the Lord. Otherwise, why? Because just by understanding how everything is connected to Krishna, then it makes it so much easier in the application of how everything connects to Krishna, how to see everything connected to Krishna, and how to do all your activities connected to Krishna. Right? But otherwise, if the material world's one thing, Krishna's another thing, one doesn't catch that. But when you see that the creation is non-different from him, but at the same time he's different. So it's non-different, so it's all to be connected to him. But he's different because it's supposed to be connected to him as the person. Does that make sense? Yeah. According to the Vedic version, the Lord is naturally fully powerful, and thus his supreme energies are always perfect and identical with him. Both the spiritual and material skies and their paraphernalia are emanations of the internal and external energies of the Lord. External energy is comparatively inferior, whereas the internal potency is superior. The superior energy is living force, and therefore she is completely identical. But the external energy, being inert, is partially identical. But both the energies are neither equal to nor greater than the Lord, who is the generator of all energies. Such energies are always under his control, exactly as electrical energy, however powerful it may be, is always under the control of the engineer. So the energies are non-different. So the energies being non-different, then that has that aspect. We have to see it in connection with Krishna, because they're always going to be connected with Krishna. Right? They're connected, so we have to see them connected. But of the two, the internal is superior, and in comparison, then the external is inferior. That's in comparison to the internal potency. Right? But as far as how amazing it is and how vast it is, then, it has these unlimited qualities. But in comparison to the spiritual energy, it's inferior, because the spiritual energy being conscious, that's always a superior position than unconsciousness. Right? So the external energy being unconscious, that puts it in an inferior position. So the internal potency then is non-different from the Lord, because he's fully conscious and the energy is fully conscious. So then that energy can always be functioning in a way that perfectly matches and is perfectly, wonderful to use in Krishna's service. But for the external energy, then the difficulty comes up is because it's partially identical. Therefore, that partially means that you can see how to use it and connect it to the Lord, but it still won't have the same, the spiritual effect then will be the same, but the external effect will always be something a little bit less, right? But in any case, we always connect it to the Lord, like that, because that's the principle that's being used in the spiritual world. Right? Yeah. Yeah. And that the energies, that because they're connected to the Lord, Krishna is always in control. Not that they're equal to or greater than him. So we say they're identical, but that doesn't mean that they're equal or greater. They're always under the control of Krishna. Right? The human being and all other living beings are products of his internal energy. Thus, the living being, energies, yes. Thus, the living being is also identical with the Lord, but he is never equal or superior to the personality of Godhead. The Lord and living entities are all individual persons. With the help of the material energies, the living beings are also creating something. But none of their creations are equal or superior to the creations of the Lord. The human being may create a small, playful Sputnik and may throw it into outer space, but that does not mean that he can create a planet like the Earth or Moon and float it in the air as the Lord does. Men with a poor fund of knowledge claim to be equal to the Lord. They are never equal to the Lord. This is never to be. The human being, after attaining complete perfection, may achieve a large percentage of the qualities of the Lord, say up to 78%. But it is never possible to surpass the Lord or to become equal with him. Right? So they have they can gain up to 78% of the qualities of the Lord. But the quantity, but he still has 100%. And the quantity that we'll have, even in those 78, will never match what he has. Right? Because his ownership of these qualities is 100%. Is unlimited. While ours then will always be limited. In a diseased condition only, the foolish being claims to be one with the Lord, and thus becomes misled by the illusory energy. The misguided living beings, therefore, must accept the supremacy of the Lord and agree to render loving service to him. For this they have been created. Without this, there cannot be any peace or tranquility in the world. Because if they're misguided, then they're all trying to be the Lord. They're all trying to be the center of the universe, the controller of the universe. Then the problem is how can there be any peace and tranquility if everybody's trying to do that? Yes, that's the whole point. Yeah. It's just like you're driving and the backseat driver's telling you what to do. It can't be peaceful. So, just imagine everybody's doing that. That's the difficulty. Srila Vyasadeva is advised by Srila Narada to expand this idea in the Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavad Gita also the same idea is explained. Surrender fully under the lotus feet of the Lord. That is the only business of the perfect human being. Right? So having this knowledge is so that we surrender to Krishna. We take up that service to Krishna. There's no other idea, no other purpose than that. It's not just to have knowledge, and then by this knowledge, then we can get so much done. It's to have this knowledge so that we surrender to Krishna. That's the actual point. That's the purpose. So if that's appreciated, then it works. And if it's not appreciated, then we have the chaos of this world. So Narad Muni is expressing to Vyasadeva, then he's advised him that he take up this understanding and express this. He knows this, but he hasn't expressed this. He tried this method of not putting so much emphasis on the philosophical aspect of that oneness and difference, and tried to make it easier to understand. But the problem is trying to make it easier to understand, then what you're dealing with is something more simple, and so people don't take it far enough to actually understand the Lord. Right? Because the Lord, the Yasachinta Bheda Bheda Tattva, is the basis of the philosophy. And if you don't take that and present that, then the difficulty comes is that the things that you'll give, they'll just see it like in connection with religion. And being connected with religion, then they're going to simply see it as cause and effect. Yes? Yes. Means you're talking about a specific material person, no? because you're not taking this in general unless you're going by the Westpac ad that helping people is what Australians do or something like that. How, which person? By association of devotees. Means one takes up devotional service simply by association. Other than that, you won't take it up. But what's the qualification? Yes. So if they surrender, then Krishna will then be directly involved in their lives. But if they don't surrender, then why would he be? Yes, but the point is unless the devotees, he comes in contact with the devotees, then how will he take up devotional service? But how does anybody come in contact unless Krishna helps? But the point is just because he has good qualities, that's not a reason to bring him in contact with devotional service. Because good qualities and are things to use in devotional service. They're not devotional service. You understand? It's just like, how do you say, in the kitchen, when you're cooking, you have ingredients and you have techniques, right, that you're going to use for the cooking process. So just because it's techniques doesn't make it cooking. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing, is that bhakti is beyond all these. So it's not that just because they're a nice guy, then they should be Krishna conscious. No, they surrender to Krishna, they should be Krishna conscious. Nice guy just means he's conditioned by goodness, so he likes functioning in goodness. But he's just as attached as the person who's in passion or ignorance. Just there's a different flavor. Does that make sense? You know, so that's the point is not that, let's say someone is eating kulfi and someone else is eating some chaat with lots of chili on it, right? So therefore, according to this description, then the person that's eating the kulfi, then Krishna should help them become a devotee because he's eating kulfi. He's not eating the chaat that's all spicy and all that like everybody else. Does that make sense? So good qualities themselves aren't a goal. They're tools along with, because you have knowledge and skills, but you also have to have the attitude and the character to go along with it. So they're both part of what you engage. Like Prabhupada says, Krishna says, perform your duties. So you have in your duties, you situate yourself by guna and karma. So karma means your ability, guna means the qualities. But it's still something that has to be engaged. So if the person is not interested to engage in devotional service, then why would they come in contact? If a person's interested, they come in contact. But if they're not interested, then they don't come in contact. No, it's not a matter of luck. See, it's Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that when the living entity has an interest to know about the Lord or his position or why things are the way they are in this world, then Krishna arranges for them to contact the devotees. So it's not accident. You understand? So the point is they have to have an interest in some way or another.
So there has to be some existential questioning.
Yes, because then they're human. Then humans, take up this process. But if they're not, then they don't.
So then, maybe the feelings were questioning what Christians is. Maybe they didn't want to, they not in touch with
But what's their purpose of questioning? They just want to know why God allowed their husband to die when he went off to war. Is that actually wanting to know God or the relationship? You understand? Or, God, please, tomorrow's the big exam, and if my son passes, then he'll be able to get good marks, be able to get into a good school. That way, then he'll be able to get a good job. He'll be able to make, good money. That way, then he can, take care of his parents and be happy in life. So they're turning to God. So it's theistic. And so that's a good thing. But they don't actually want to know God as a person and what's going on, or they're not really interested beyond that. If they are, then they'll come in contact with the devotees. It's that simple. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's a pastime. It's just that they come to show how the living entity, progresses. It's a matter of working with what's happening. You see what Krishna's plan is. But it's just a matter of them performing the activities so that they can be in contact with Krishna. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, but if they're actually, something that by coming in contact with a devotee, you might take advantage of that, then Krishna will put you in contact. If you're just asking and then, it goes away, or it's just not actually very important, then you may not.
So is this question that is, three modes, in a way, it's better to be situated in the subject
Yes.
before we get frustration becomes real.
It means you'd be able to appreciate or take advantage more easily. But because of the mode of goodness, many times they don't think there's a problem. Because life's going nicely. If you're following your duties, you're getting decent results. And so you think life's, better than most, so you're okay. Then at that point, then they may, but otherwise, if things are going on, then they think it's okay. That's what Krishna talks about, being conditioned by the mode of goodness. Yeah. So they think it's all right. I've probably been to hundreds of programs at pious, Indians' houses. But, taking up devotional service, very few of them ever do. It's not about they don't want to surrender. They just don't really see the importance because life is going okay. But because their lifestyle is based on the Veda, therefore inviting sadhus over, hearing philosophy, and religious subject matter, feeding the Brahmins, is all part of their lifestyle. Therefore, they naturally do that. But whether they take advantage of the devotional benefit, that's another thing. But it's not that they don't have devotional benefit. It's a gyata sukriti, but for it to turn into faith, then that means you have to have that continued association. But they don't see its importance. So for them, it's, whenever Krishna wants. So Krishna will only make the arrangement when you want. So I remember in Calcutta, when are you visiting Mayapur? When Krishna wants. Like that. It says that, and when are you going to go to lunch? Yeah? when you want, when I'm hungry, like that. So that's the point, is when they're hungry, then they make an endeavor. But then for a spiritual, then they leave it up to Krishna. Whenever Krishna arranges so, then Krishna doesn't arrange because they're not interested. It's not that they're opposed to it, but they're just not, it's like akarma. You're not doing what you should do, but you're not doing something wrong. They're doing the activities that would be engaged in devotional service. They're just not doing devotional service. So they're not doing an impious activity, but they're not doing devotional service. So it just remains as pious. It's faith. It means that's one of the things, but it's just a matter of that faith that there's something more to one's existence than just the regular things that one's going through. There's something more there. So you try to develop that understanding, cultivate that. So it's actually, you want to develop and cultivate the process of bhakti. You see the importance of it, the benefit of it, the correctness of it, and you want to progress in that. How quickly or slowly is still up to the individual. But before that, you hear it, it's nice, it's great, the devotees are nice, and prasad's great, and kirtans are fun, but then it's a neutral state. So if something else is coming up, that's also great. How you say, I think this next weekend, Katy Perry's visiting there. It's also fun, So it's just, you understand. So it's just, that's just how. It's just you go with what's ever happening, go with the flow, like that. But faith means now you see, no, this is what you want to commit yourself to. But that comes by association with those with faith. You get distracted, because the point is that you're engaging yourself in the activities to please Krishna, but one gets distracted by the activities, and then the activities, may be going how you want or not, but so you develop that focus, and so then wherever you feel that focus will be favorable, then that's where it takes you. Because you're engaging things in Krishna's service. Does that make sense? So let's just say like someone, is given the opportunity to do cooking for Krishna, right? So then they cook. And in cooking, then, they get into it. They like the cooking. And they get into the technique of the cooking and all that. But they see that in the temple, so they really want to be a good cook, but they see in the temple no one knows so much, and the opportunities and range of what you can cook is not so great. But outside there's an opening in a restaurant, a new upcoming kind of, restaurant where, they could get into, and there's people there that are into it, and they can really cultivate and learn nicely cooking, and so they take up that job. They just get distracted, because the secondary aspect that is used for Krishna, they get distracted by it. Because you're absorbed in the secondary. You understand? Because when you put the secondary more important, then it takes on that position. Right? So it becomes the absorbing. And then Krishna and those activities, then those will be in connection with that. But it's supposed to be the other way around. It's Krishna is what's important. And then you see these activities connected to Krishna. Does that make sense? Yes, but they're doing it because they're supposed to. They're a nice guy. Because at this point when you're talking, I can only think that you're talking about some nice Hindus. But here, good people, they're inviting Brahmins over to their house. the nice, white Australians are inviting Brahmins, qualified Brahmins, over to their house to do Brahmin bhojana, and they're making for them paka rasoi, the cooking, puris and nice, things like that, and things cooked with butter and ghee. And so what are you talking about? They're a nice guy. They give some money to feed some kids in Biafra. Okay, nice. But outside of that, why is he so good in what he does? Right? If you're good in business, it's not necessarily because you're a nice guy. Right? There's even a saying, I think, in the practical world: nice guys finish last. You understand? So they like to present themselves in a cultured way. They identify themselves as cultured, so therefore they will act as cultured. Not necessarily that their thinking is cultured, but they just, they identify. I'm cultured, I'm educated, I went to a good school, I'm from a good family, so therefore, even the situation is not nice, I don't yell and scream, I behave nicely. People who are low class and from low class backgrounds and uneducated and not from good social positions, then they yell, scream, and flail their arms about and stuff like that. But from my social status, we don't do that. So is it a matter of good qualities of what you're thinking? It's a matter of maintaining their social prestige. But to do that, yes, there has to be piety. Otherwise, how do they have sense control to not yell and scream? So they do have, some good qualities, but those are just from the effect of karma. Right? And then, next lifetime, you can't say what's there. We have to remember these qualities belong to Krishna. So if we are impressed by good qualities, then we should look at Krishna's qualities. He's the source of all qualities. So being attracted by Krishna's qualities and absorbed in that, then we can appreciate others' good qualities and how we can try to engage them in Krishna's service. Does that make sense? But we have to get over the idea that just because someone has that external form of being nice, that they deserve to be Krishna conscious. All living entities are supposed to be Krishna conscious, but because of their engagement in the material sense gratification, according to their karma, they're situated in different places within the universe, in different situations. And that keeps changing, it keeps adjusting. Right? So just because you appreciate the good quality, then give them association, preach to them. But don't ask, well, what's God doing about it? They deserve it. Why isn't he a devotee? The point is the mission happens because you preach. Because right. Yeah. 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 Yeah, of course. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yes. I think of the divine and demoniac nature, and there it's explained. And then the yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. Mm. You'll continue. Mm. Yes. No, no, no. It's very good. Very good. Very good. Yeah, because the thing that comes down is because the question was about why isn't Krishna putting them in contact? You know, I was kind of thinking maybe in the conversation would go about, well, you know, then it's about Krishna. What about when we go out and preach and all that? That's the other side. That's the devotees, because the devotees don't have that restriction. Krishna will only deal with the as you surrender, then he'll reciprocate. But devotees don't do that. They just go out and tell you about Krishna even if you're not interested. You know, so that's the point, is the devotees are the turning point. Yeah, in Mathura when he goes to the wrestling arena. Yeah, yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, because he says, as you surrender. So they surrender to him as, like you said, there as beauty or as the reservoir of good qualities or whatever. And so that only then, in that medium, he reciprocates back. But the point is, this prema is something else. So that's why the devotees will bring about that aspect. That's where then you develop faith, is in the association of devotees. Because we're always associating with Krishna. Krishna's in the heart as Paramatma, but we're not taking advantage. You know, so only when we get the association of the devotees, then we take advantage of it. Because Krishna is, whatever you're doing, he'll reciprocate on that level. You know, the student is studying very hard for his exams, and he's using his intelligence, putting in his time, putting in his determination and effort. So therefore, Krishna reciprocates with that by their, you know, being able to understand and perform nicely. But it'll only be that much. They've only are only dealing with Krishna on that level. He only reciprocates that level. But the devotees don't work on that. They just go straight for Krishna consciousness. That's what Narad Muni is pointing out, is that you have to go straight for that. The secondary aspects, yes, you may put it in the context of, but you can't put the emphasis on the secondary. It has to be on the primary. Well, with Krishna, he'll just reciprocate on the secondary as they interact. But then he is a person, it's about prema. That's why you see he's reciprocating with everybody in the material world as Paramatma, not as Bhagavan. Right? Because, the taste. So, is that good? It can be really nice and just. Yeah, they want to be good for their people and then harm others.
I think that there was the association of devotees that took
Yes. No, because the process of association of devotees is important all the way through. But as he's pointing out, the turning point for is the devotees, because they've come in contact. But as you progress, it's still always devotees. Even to come to the platform of prema from bhava, it's only by association of devotees. Like that. Because otherwise, if we don't understand that aspect, then we'll think, oh, I'm the cause of my advancement. No, it's by association. That's why we advance. And so we see that more advanced position, and we aspire for that, so then Krishna reciprocates. Like that. But the point is it's the devotees who are bringing it to Krishna. And if we want to follow that, then Krishna reciprocates by allowing us to, go that way. Just like you said, if someone gets distracted, they get distracted by the secondary instead of the primary, and then Krishna will let them follow that. Sukriti means when you do a pious activity, then the desire to do that again means when you do an activity, it creates a seed. So if you do an impious activity, the seed to do that impious activity is created. So then the process of always being engaged like that will be constant. It'll always be going on. That's why only if you come in contact with Krishna consciousness, that can remove the desire seeds. It won't remove the effect of the result of the karma, but it will get rid of any desire seeds to do that kind of stuff again. Right? So then Agyata Sukriti, what we're talking here is that you're doing devotional service, but you don't know it's devotional service. So it's unknown devotional service. Because it's called devotional service when you know what it is. When you surrender, that's devotional service. A person's not surrendered, but they're engaged in devotional service. So they don't get, they get what's called Agyata Sukriti. They develop their devotional piety, but it's not devotional service until there's faith. So by that association, that piety will grow until it reaches a particular volume that it's enough to develop faith. But that faith comes in the association of devotees. It's not going to come on its own. But, yes. Well, generally it's the other way around. But oh. Oh, okay, yeah. Means,
my point is that we think that good is material, directly offering something to Krishna is spiritual. So we want to bypass being good.
oh, okay, yeah.
Just go straight directly.
Yeah.
And like for example, cleanliness, we think, we don't need to be clean as long as we're pure. You understand my point? That we don't mind, for example, living in a dirty place as long as we.
Or chant Hare Krishna, or be transcendental.
Yeah, because sometimes we see that devotees think that it's important to develop the qualities of offering it to Krishna, but it's not as important as the qualities of being good. That's it.
I mean, he says, because when you perform an activity, then it's performed with a particular attitude. Right? So the activity means you have knowledge, you have the understanding, and you understand how it applies, what purposes what results it will give. But in that, you have to have the attitude, because depending on the attitude, that will actually generate the specific result, not the external result, but the effect of that result. So that means so we can see here his qualities are then that part of it. It's part of the process. So we do the proper activity, but we're also supposed to have the proper attitude. That's why it's guna and karma. Right? You have the karma, but don't have the guna. Like someone will say, well, I can do that. Yes, they probably could, and they might even be able to do a very good job. But the problem is do they have the attitude to do it? That's the difference. So that's where then people are doing activities they shouldn't be doing because technically they can do them, but the attitude is such that it's not nice. Right? So the two go together. In other words, the applying the intelligence and the senses in activity, but there's also the condition of the mind. Because most of what we perceive is all through that position of the mind. So why wouldn't it be important during action? Right? If I'm judging everything according to, one, the quality of how it's done, but more importantly, what effect it has on my mind. So why wouldn't the mind be part of the process, as an ongoing thing? So we're not interested in the qualities separate from Krishna, because that's also a distraction, is that, you hear sometimes, until we get to the mode of goodness. Prabhupada mentions those in the mode of goodness, but then some will emphasize, no, we have to focus on establishing ourselves in goodness. No, you have to focus on devotional service. And devotional service means that you're offering things that is your duty to offer without attachment. That's the mode of goodness. So bhakti already includes goodness. But when we focus on goodness separately, or people are nice, or they're good, or this and that, then that's a distraction because we think the qualities themselves are actually important. But they're only important because of their connection to Krishna. It's just like, a very nice tool is only important in its application in that work. If I have a very good screwdriver, a good knife, its importance is only appreciated when you use it. But on its own, if you have a knife that is never used, what's the point? So it doesn't have a separate existence. So when we have that, it's like, okay, well, the karmis are behaving nicer than the devotees. Okay. So, but what's the point of saying that? That the devotees should be aware that they should behave properly in their service to Krishna. But if we're thinking, no, the karmis are better association, they behave nicer, and I'd rather be with the karmis than the devotees any day, then we've taken the qualities as the important, not bhakti. And so that person will go away, and he'll be in the association of those nice people. But then he'll find with time they're not as nice as he thinks they are. I think you have the saying here, beauty is only skin deep. Yeah, so that's what it is. It'll only be that much. It's a veneer.
But it's also quite dangerous if
That's there, but yes, but yes.
Devotees think they can engage in Krishna without trying to purify. For example, someone else, I'm a dairy person, very from clean, because they have no thinking to Krishna, but when you say, I'm not very, I'm pure, I'm so Krishna, it's a mentality of taking advantage of philosophy like ours, that this is sharpening the knife, and you use it everywhere else, you work for you, transcendental,
Yeah. Yes, because they go back and forth between, we're transcendental, we don't need the rules. And then, okay, so then we should do this. No, but we can't do that. That culture, we're Westerners. That's not our culture. So how can we engage that? So they go back and forth between a material identity and then this, it means a mundane identity and this totally, Paramahamsa identity, nothing in between. Oh no, it was of governance of the offended. like that.
Staying powerful when we need it.
Yeah, they take either way. It means, in other words, those who claim to be victims and they're being oppressed by authority, as soon as they're in the position of authority, they'll do exactly the same thing. You know, but now they'll use theirs, and so now if you point, the difference being is the other one is just an authority, and they're wrong. And then if you point it out, they're supposed to appreciate that and correct themselves, or even better, step aside and let someone more qualified be the authority. But when they're the authority, if you point out that there's something wrong, then they become the victim. Like that. Not that they're wrong. They can never be wrong. That's the thing with this modern political correctness is anybody who's situated, the better they're situated in it, the less they can be wrong. They just can't. They will not accept the position of being wrong. Everybody else is wrong. They can never be wrong. So that's the difficulty, is they're using good qualities when you like, you're using the philosophy when they like, I'm advanced when, it's just like, oh, when it comes to this, oh, but we're all devotees, we're all Brahmins and all that. Okay, so why don't you do this? And, I want you to do this techno stuff. Oh, no, but, background, we're Shudras, how can we do all the, So they just use whatever's to their advantage, Why at your house you're living like this, doing like this and that? Well, in Kali Yuga, everyone's born Shudra, but, we chant the holy name and all that. And okay, then great. Okay, then you're Shudra there. Okay, we're doing this thing on the puja. Well, I think you should do it like this. I thought you were the Shudra. What do you mean? We're devotees. Why are you saying that? Why are you saying I'm a Shudra? It is madness, but it's extremely popular these days. Devotees have a tendency to take up the flavor of the day, whatever the karmis are doing. Because they're in the association, they're in that and they take it up. Yes, so that's why you don't focus on that. You focus on the proper association, the teachings of the acharyas, and then you just move through the world without being affected. It's just like, what is it? It says, that's saying something. No, not that. It would be about something like in the world but not of the world. Is that how you say it? Yeah, it means like these, like you see these sages like Narad Muni, he's in the material world, but he's not part of the material world. So that's what we have to do. But then one has to give up that thing we're trying to please everybody and this and that. There are standards. Fall apart. That's the difficulties. That's where the problem comes up, is that one group it's about standards, the others it's about that we don't have to follow standards, it's about the individual. Right? So that's the thing, is that there's a standard, everyone has to follow that, there's no real adjustment for individuality. The other is all about individuality, but there's no standards. The Vedic systems, you have standards that you apply to the individual. So both are there. So that individuality is there. That's why the Vedas are so broad, so that everybody can be accommodated. Then it works. But without taking that, see, the middle path is not a compromise. Because compromise suggests that you're getting less than what is ideal. The Vedic is you use what's proper and leave what's improper. Right? So in other words, the one group has standards, but they can't accommodate individuality. So you leave that part, they can't accommodate individuality, keep the part about that they have standards. The other part, the other group, then it's about the individual, and that's good, but they have no standards and no respect for authority except themselves. That you leave. So now you keep it's in the individuality and you keep these standards, and you put that together and it works. So that's the Vedic system. It's in the middle. That's why it says it's a razor's edge. It's a very specific. And then you have an ocean of possibilities on either side. Like that. However you like, you can go. Because each one, how you say, each conservative is different from the other conservative. Each liberal is different from the other. Because all it is there'll be a common point, they'll all rally together. But if you start pushing the point, then you'll see that it's completely different to the point. It'll completely destroy the relationship. Like that. So you're not dealing with much depth here. That's the whole difficulty. So, yeah, yes. No, you? No, it's point. What's the point? Yeah, but I'm saying, what's your point of the question? I mean, you're giving a nice explanation of this community, their background, and what they do. But what's your question? Right. Yes. Yeah. So what's the question? They're following religious principles. So that part is recommended. But the point of following regular principles and religious principles is to offer that to the Supreme Lord. That doesn't matter. The kid doesn't consider that if you drop the thing off the balcony, that it's going to be a problem. So it's not a problem? You ever dealt with small children? Do you know what a child is? Okay. Have you ever dealt with children? Okay. Do they have a concept of what you're dealing with? Whatever you have, it's for playing. Like your phone, it's just for playing. And kids love to drop things. So if they take your new, iPhone 10 and drop it, then nothing happens, right? There's no bad effect because they don't know that there's a bad effect, right? Isn't it? So everything that kids take, they play with, and that they never break. Nothing. It's an amazing thing. But as soon as the adult picks it up, then it breaks, right? Right? Kids play around in a dangerous place. They fall over. They never get hurt. Right? Why are you just nodding your head? Are you hearing what I'm saying? You see, the thing is hearing, then the next stage is contemplation. That how would that apply? And when you try to apply something that's not is absurd, it doesn't work. So the question of doubt should come up. And so in that point of doubt, then we have something to discuss. Okay, let us say, okay, maybe this will work. Do you know chilies? Are they hot? Okay, what if a person who doesn't know what a chili is eats a chili? It won't be hot, right? Or will it be hot? It'll be hot or not? Huh? It will be hot, but they don't know. Why is it hot? Because according to what you said, they don't know about Krishna as Supreme, so what's the problem? But that they don't know doesn't mean the reaction to their worship won't be there. They'll get benefit of worshiping Shiva, but they won't get benefit of worshiping Krishna. Does that make sense? They're following the scriptures. Nice. That's pious. But if you want to know Krishna, then you have to surrender to him. Because Lord Shiva is a servant of Lord Krishna. But they don't know that. So they're approaching Shiva for the material benefit they'll get from worshiping Shiva. So they're functioning within the three modes, yes. The activity they do, the lifestyle, the regulation, that's goodness. But the reason they're doing that is for the material benefit, that's passion. That they don't know Krishna. Liberation is still a material thing. You know what I'm saying? It's still about them. It's not about the relationship with the Lord in that. And they're still in ignorance of their relationship with the Lord. Because everything's Krishna, not Shiva. Krishna maintains because he is everything. Shiva destroys what Brahma has created. He can't destroy what Krishna has created. Because Krishna maintains it. So Shiva doesn't, he destroys it. So everything's Krishna. So you can't say it's that the worshiper of Shiva is not having some other purpose. Does that make sense? But it's like what she's saying. They're nice people. They're regulated. They do their duties and all that. That's nice. That's good. That's pious. But the point is devotional service is beyond that. It's still what you're talking about will keep them in the material world. They won't get out of the material world.
Really,
That's the only thing. That's the only thing. There's nothing else. Because like he says, they're following scriptures, they're following the things, they're doing what they should, and they've been for generations. Yeah, like that. Yeah, it's just a matter of discussion. Yeah, so then you get what you get, what you know, get you see what you want. You get what you pay for. So they're there. So that's why we don't bother trying to explain it to them. We make the programs of, so as a Hindu, let's say they may come to the Janmashtami program because it's what Hindus do, and they'll get the benefit of that worship, taking prasad and all that association, hearing the kirtan. But that's it. Surrendering to Krishna, going more, they won't do. So after so many lifetimes of that, then maybe they'll come in contact. So, you know, if you have to work with them, you're nice, but you wouldn't prefer that as association. No, that's what we're meaning by being conditioned by the mode of goodness. They're following the principles, they're following the regulations. So it will produce a comfortable lifestyle. So they're comfortable with that. Yes.
I like the place people go to Ivy schools thinking that will provide them with education and employment. And you see people with so many degrees not doing anything. But one of those starting these people were doing something very important that we can do in the future. I don't think with worship you're going to get a small life like society. You think that you'll take you somewhere while you're doing it, it's great, nice people. But then you see them opening a vegetable shop, you know. Although they have such a great education and like you really take them on a serving. But then you see people that learn something really progressive and use that knowledge to discover something else that happens. But I don't think you just worship anything, but that's why you just like something.
Yeah, no, because anything in the mode of goodness, people tend to get stuck. They don't see the need to go for. Yeah, because passion is driving you. It works for a lot of people. It works for a lot of people.
No, but the whole concept of, you know, being happy at this stage and thinking that will last forever.
Yeah, that's the whole point. It's just the illusion that the material situation that we have now will last. No, it's always changing. Time moves on. So it's always adjusting. But because we're conditioned, then we adjust to the new condition and then to the new condition. And, you know. So then so unless there's that inquiry on, you know, what's actually going on, I'm doing all this, it's nice, why aren't I happy? Like that, then that's the whole point. So otherwise, unless you get the association of devotees, you won't move forward. Like that. You know, you'll move around in samsara, you know, within piety to impiety, but you won't get out of that circle. Does that make sense? So the material includes down to hell up to, how you say, liberation. But that's still all within the Mahatattva, within the material. So the only way to get beyond that is then the spiritual, the devotional. Right? So that's why we were discussing last night that the foundation of devotional service is liberation. So what they're trying to get to liberation, we start there. Our newest devotee is functioning on that. They may not understand or know how to take advantage of it. Does that make sense? You know, it's just like, let's say, the kid, the kid's in a music family traditionally, and they're very well situated in that. The kid wants to learn music, and so they may give him a very excellent violin, because that's all they have in the house. Okay, the father will play the Stradivarius, but the other ones that are, you know, super excellent, then that's what the kid's learning on. But when they play it, and when, you know, someone else plays it, there's a slight bit of difference. You know? So that's the point is, but they're situated in a perfect musical environment with all the ingredients, but they're not taking full advantage. So the neophyte devotee is on the liberated platform, they just don't take full advantage of it because they're too distracted by what's not, by the temporary. Yeah, because it doesn't exist. Mayavadis never get liberated. That's the first point, just know that. Now, how can they get liberated? They're offensive to the Lord, so. So unless if they follow everything very nicely, then they might get liberated. But the point is what's so great about liberation? Right? And then they'll come back. Liberation simply means that you are not functioning in the conditioned state. You're on the platform of Vasudeva Sattva. So there's no material as such. There's no concept of the material body, so therefore there's no engagements for that. So then you're just sitting there in that neutral state of spirituality. But all living entities, when Krishna breathes in and everybody goes in, they're all in Vasudeva Sattva. Then when he breathes out, then they're all manifest again, and then they come out and they're in Vasudeva Sattva. So it means every living entity, even the cockroach, they're on that transcendental platform. Then when Brahma creates the secondary creation, now all those living entities are put into their positions, now they take up their conditioned nature. So it's like, every how you say, every 3/4 of a second to Mahavishnu, everybody's liberated. And then after that, then they're all back where they were. It'd be just like, musical chairs. Yeah, so when you're walking around, that's liberated. And then you sit down, then you're conditioned. It's like that. It's nothing special. It's made into something special just because we think it will be great. Like people think if I'm healthy, then I'll be perfect. And no matter how healthy they get, they're still pursuing health. People looking for health never find health. People looking for money never find money. Because what they want is more. I have $1,000. Hey, eventually I could get 10,000. But when they have 10,000, they want 100. When they have 100, they want a million, 10. There's no end. So we hear about the billionaires, the trillionaires we don't hear about. And they're still trying to get more. I'm saying? So there is no end. You can't attain it. Yeah. So that's the whole point, is they get freed from that drive, but they're still within the consciousness that I'm the controller and enjoyer. So they're still within the material platform. Okay. Skinny sick. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Right. I say they have the same disease with what do they call it? 6% body fat instead of 30%. That's all. What to do? Yeah. Yeah, because we function on impressions. So that's why by proper association we change what we call a proper impression. Because impressions we will create. That's what the mind does. But now by association, now you create impressions that are on the transcendental platform. So that only comes by association. Otherwise you won't change your impressions. Right? So. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Works. Okay. Is that, we're good? Yes. So in other words, devotional service has to be the focus. And good qualities and, good education, good background, these are all nice. You can engage them in Krishna service, but they themselves aren't qualifications for a devotional service. Devotion is qualification for devotional service. Right? Faith in the Lord, faith in the devotees, that's qualification. So these other things, they're nice tools, but that doesn't mean that they're, just because you have a friend that has a fabulous kitchen, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a good cook or a cook at all. I'm sure that there are, what's that, when you go over the bridge, then you keep going, and you come down to an area, on the left there's a big park, and then around there it's like a marina and all that, and there's all kinds of houses there. Yeah. No, it's on this side. When you just go across, it's like when you're going down to Mahatsas, just after Pratapanas and before Mahatsas, to the left there's this park, and if you go out that way, there's all these, houses right on the water. Yeah. So there's places like that. Every place in the world has those. And there's a good chance that there are people that own a house, a fabulous house. They've outfitted it fabulous. They bring in professionals. They have a kitchen that a 3-star, chef would be, would get, goosebumps over. But there's a good chance they can't cook at all. Right? So, but that doesn't now make them a good cook. It just means that they develop those things. They see the importance. So people can go for good qualities, go for these things, and become very nice and a good person, but the purpose that it's for, which is devotion, that they don't do, so it's a waste. They have to surrender, because as much as you pointed out, these people, they'll listen, especially when you talk about cultural aspects or pure philosophical aspects. Then they're cool with it. The difference of it, we cook like this or do like that or eat like this, and that's why we wear this. Or that's interesting. They'll be listening. They're cultured. But if you suggest that they should do it, now you're dealing with you've unleashed the beast. You don't want to be in the same room, because now you've attacked their position. Because this is their identity. They're the good, nice, eclectic, broad-minded, accommodating person. And as soon as you say they should do this, now you're restricting them. And their thing is, no, I can do whatever I want, go wherever I want. Like that. So that's why just the thing that people are pleasant and nice and go along, you just give a little bit and that's all, and don't give more because they'll get upset. But then where will the devotee come from? That's why by Narad Muni's pointing out, you already did that. You have to directly say, here's Krishna. And then those people who come forward, they're special. Right? Glass everybody has. Diamonds, then fewer have. No? Does that make sense? Yeah. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki, Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi.